Hello, my name is Danny Hoskins and welcome to Native American Warrior Arts DVD 1. Assisting me today will be Rick Moore. Our Native American Warrior Arts program is an ongoing research, study, and practice of traditional Native American and modern interpretations of warfare, weapons, raiding, hunting, games, dance, as well as history. Today we're going to keep everything pretty low budget and we're using a lot of safety equipment. We're going to be using most things that are going to be either PVC or bamboo that have foam duct taped up, and that way we can train safe. By all means, if you want to train with historical weapons, please do so. There's also a lot of good safety equipment, a lot of good safety hawks. But right now, like I said, we're trying to keep everything low budget. The purpose of this DVD is to present this information as a long distance learning course for those who may, be a little too far away from me. And you can videotape this material and send it back to me. We're going to begin with the knife, and we're going to talk about knife basics. We're going to talk about gripping or holding the blade, stance, and basic footwork. When you hold your blade, you're going to hold it in a standard hammer grip. Our stance is going to be body somewhat facing towards the front. Knife's going to be held out at a 45-degree angle. Rear hand is going to be up, just as if you were holding a shield in your rear hand, and it's going to be held in this manner. From the side, here. Basic footwork is going to be moving the closest foot the direction you're moving. So right now, I'm going to be in my warrior stance. If I need to move forward, my right leg's in front, it moves forward. If I need to move back, to the right, or to the left. And that is your basic footwork. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about moving the blade. Since we're keeping the blade out in front, we're going to have to keep it moving. So the first thing we're going to look at is our full circle or full moon technique. From my warrior stance, my full circle four-handed is going to be made as such, just drawing a circle here in front, keeping the blade somewhat or point somewhat towards my opponent. And then of course we have a backhanded version of this full moon or full circle technique. Our second movement with the blade is going to be the half circle, otherwise known as a canyon technique. And this happens when the blade starts from palm down and travels underneath to palm up. So we're traveling in this fashion, from palm up to palm down. And that is moving the blade. All right, now we're going to talk about piercing the hand. And I got Rick helping me out here. He's going to get in his warrior stance, and I'm going to be attacking his hand. Since we're long-range knife sparring, I want to try to attack the closest target to me. And right now, that's his hand. So the four basic thrusts that we're going to use are going to be thumb up, palm down, palm up, and striking up. All right, so one more time. It's going to be straight, palm down, palm up, and moving up. I could go down possibly, but because of the angle of his blade right now, I may impale myself at the same time. However, if his blade was pointed down a little bit or the angle would change, I could drop down on top of his hand for my pierce as well. Now after you get this piercing going, I want you to spar with this and do a couple rounds of piercing only. And what we would do is we would begin, and once we decided we're going to spar, we're only going to attack each other's hand. He's going to pierce for my hand, I'm going to pierce for his hand, and we're going to be moving around and we're going to be trying to hit each other's hand in a sparring drill. And that's the only target that we're going for, is trying to hit each other's hand right now with piercing. After you do a round of right versus right, then of course I want you to do everything left-handed as well. And then do a round of left versus left, and then switch over to right versus left, and left versus right, and that way you hit all four variables. Okay, now we're going to talk about lightning cuts. Lightning cuts are quick cuts, just like a lightning flash across the sky. This is going to be attacking the hand again. We're long-range knife sparring. Rick's going to get to a fighting position, and I'm going to do my cuts to his hand. When I do cut, I want to make this more of a pushing cut. I'm pushing the blade out towards his hand and not making these big motions this way. So for my fighting position, my first one is going to be a downward diagonal. Second one is going to be a backhand diagonal. Third is going to be a horizontal, four-handed motion, backhanded horizontal motion. Upward diagonal, four-handed, upward diagonal, backhanded. So again, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now, just like before we did with the piercing techniques, I want you to spar. 1 round of lightning cuts only, right versus right, same way left versus left, right versus left, and left versus right. And again, hit your 4 variables with your sparring, cuts only to the hand. All right, now we're going to talk about downward wind. Downward wind is a motion where your blade is moving this way with the point towards your opponent the whole time. It's a defensive movement now, as your opponent may be coming in towards you, walking in towards you, and you're going to be cutting his hand downward. Okay, so from this angle, we do a little drill here where we have our training partner walk towards us, and as he walks towards us, we're going to scoot our body out at a 45-degree angle and not back up on the line of attack, but scoot off the line of attack. And as we scoot off the line of attack, we're going to be given this downward wind. Don't make a full circle this way, where your blade comes back. The blade is going to face towards the front the whole time. So as Rick comes towards me, I step and move off the line. We're going to switch sides. One more time here as he comes in, and I move off the line and I cut the hand. Now we're going to talk about upward wind. Upward wind, just before if you get downward, we're bringing it upward now. Same way, the point is going to face towards my opponent the whole time as I bring this elliptical type motion up. Okay, so we'll drill the same way before. I'm just going to have Rick kind of advance. It doesn't matter right now if he's really thrusting or he's just moving towards me with the blade. I'm going to scoot back off the line of attack on a 45, and I'm going to deliver this upward wind to the hand. So again, slow here, he comes in, and I cut. And we're always double cut with these wind, just to make sure that we have it. So as he's coming in, we're cutting up on our upward wind. All right, now we're going to talk about our half circle defense or canyon techniques. And this is going to be defensively moving our hand, saying, and we're looking at maybe someone attacking our hand now, because again, we're long range sparring. And our first drill, just like the half circle or canyon movement that we learned in the beginning, we're going to keep our hand in one position. As they go to thrust it, we're going to disengage it and move it out of the way. And of course, we would do the reverse going the other direction. I could do this in sparring as my hand was moving, or I could be setting a trap for my opponent by leaving it hanging out there, and as he goes for it, moving it out of the way. So right now we're going to do this just as a stationary drill with no footwork. And I'm going to keep my hand in the palm down position. As Rick would go to thrust for my hand, I disengage and come underneath. Now, you got to remember this is long range sparring, so we would be far away. I would never do this technique in close because more than likely he's not going to go for my hand. He's just going to go for my body. Again, we're long range sparring here. I leave my hand out, he goes for it, I move it out of the way. Each time he goes to attack, I move it out of the way, all right? And that is one application of your half circle technique. Now we're going to go half circle into piercing. So now as we move it out of the way, we're going to deliver a pierce back to his hand. We're going to make this kind of a big motion so you can see it right now. Once he goes to stab for my hand, I disengage and I thrust. He goes to hit, I disengage and thrust. I disengage it and I thrust it on a different angle. So I'm leaving it out here, I'm baiting for it, and I move it out of the way, and I counter stab back. Now we're going to talk about adding the downward wind into this defense with this half circle canyon defense. So this time, I'm leaving my hand out same way. As he goes to hit, I disengage and I give downward wind. I leave it out here, downward wind. Okay? One more time here, downward wind, here, downward wind. We'll switch sides. So again, slowly he comes in, moving underneath, downward wind. Over here, downward wind. Here, downward wind. Here, downward wind. All right, now we're going to talk about moving in from long to mid-range knife fighting. And we're going to talk about a series that we call our thrusting buffalo series. As you can see on the shield here, the buffalo has 2 horns. And our 2 horns, our 2 thrusting techniques we're going to do is our palm down and palm up thrust. Okay? Those are the 2 horns that we're trying to put, or 2 thrusts that we're trying to put into our opponent, and we're going to be looking at putting those in the upper area, into the throat, or possibly into the face or the eyes of our opponent. So when we're here, Rick's going to get on guard, and I'm just going to show the thrust. Of course, I would be going for the hand if I were long range, but we're going to move in a little bit to mid-range fighting, and I'm going to show you something here. To deliver this, we're going to call this thrust 1 and the backhand thrust 2. Alright, so I want to put both horns in, so basically I could just do this as an attack. So from this position I could just go 1 to 2 or 2 to 1. Now the problem with that is he's occupying the center line here. If I try to break this, he could just thrust quickly and impale me before I could even get close to him. So what I need to do is I need to either draw him out or attack this hand. Right now we're going to kind of draw him out. We're going to make him come for one of the thrust, and then we're going to disengage and quickly go into another technique. So we're going to be using some faking. Right now he's just going to show basic blocking. As I go to attack, he's just going to basically block my hand and stop it. Okay, so when I go to hit 1, he hits it. When I go to hit 2, he blocks. I'll go to 2, and I go to 1. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add our faking in. We're going to fake 1, give 2, fake 2, give 1. Again, we're trying to get a reaction. All we're trying to do is clear that line of attack so I have a straight shot into the throat or into the face. So slowly here, as I give 1, he's going to react. So I fake this 1. Quickly I disengage and I come over and I thrust 2. So again, slow, I'm going to go on 2 this time. I fake 2. Disengage and come to 1. Now you see we're using that half circle or canyon technique throughout this whole training DVD. We're going to be using movements like that. So here I fake 1 and go 2, or fake 2 and go to 1. So another angle here real quick. I would fake 1, go to 2, fake 2 and go to 1. Now we're going to talk about using the downward wind technique. I'm going to fake, and then I'm going to cut his hand. Once his hand is disabled, then I'm going to go into the throat or into the face. So from this angle, slowly I attack 1, I fake 1. I quickly disengage, I cut this hand, right? On the other side, I fake 2, disengage, quickly cut that hand. Now again, we want to try to get the horns in on the opponent. I'm faking with 1 to deliver the other one. So I'm going to put the thrust in after I cut the hand. So if I fake, cut, disable that hand, deliver my thrust. Fake, cut, deliver that thrust. On the other side, I'm going to fake, deliver the thrust. Fake, deliver the thrust. Now we're going to talk about lightning cuts. We're going to add lightning cuts into this. So I'm going to fake high, cut low. On number 1, fake 2, cut low. And then of course we're going to finish it up and put the second horn in. So first time I'm going to fake high, and I'm going to cut low. My lightning cut is going to be a quick cut to the body, right? As he gets that cut, he's going to flinch. As he flinches, I'm going to pierce with the second thrust. So right now I'm going to fake high, go low. There's 1, 2, cut across. Right here. Now I'm going to put the thrust in. So fake high, cut low, thrust high. So I fake, cut, and thrust. Fake, cut, and thrust. Okay, from a different angle. I fake, cut, thrust. Fake, cut, thrust. Now we're going to talk about sun techniques. And sun techniques, just like if you look up to the sun, you get blinded. In our knife fighting tradition, sun techniques refer to getting cut or stabbed in the eyes, getting blinded essentially. So I'm going to add those in. I'm going to fake the thrust, deliver the sun, and put the other thrust in. So that seems to be the formula that we're running here. As I fake this thrust, I'm going to disengage and turn it palm up. So I almost make a complete circle up and over, palm up, and then quickly I'm going to cut across the eyes of my opponent. On the backhanded, I fake the thrust, I quickly disengage and turn it palm down, and then cut across. Okay, so one more time. On 1, I disengage, palm up, cut across. On 2, I disengage, cut palm down and across. Now, of course, we want to add that second horn in. So I go to thrust 1, disengage, cut, thrust. Number 2, fake, disengage, cut, and put the thrust in. All right, we'll switch sides here. So here's 1, and here's 2. Okay, now we're going to talk about and demonstrate the lance. This particular lance that I have is it's about 5 feet, a little over 5 feet. And what we're going to do first is we're going to talk about basic stances. Now, there are 5 basic positions or guards that you can hold the lance that I've seen. From this position, we're just using this as an example. We're going to slide down to about the 3rd, grip it, get our feet wide. Now this time I'm going to keep my left leg in front. My rear heel is still up, body same way, pretty much just like the knife. I have my lance held low, point up at 45, just like the knife, elbow slightly bent. This hand would probably be holding a shield to protect myself with, but right now I just let it go and show you this position. This is position 1. Position 2 is to lift it and pinch it underneath the armpit. That's position 2. Position 3 is to grip it with the left hand, make a small circular motion up, switch a grip on my right hand, and be in an overhead position. That's position 3. Position 4 is taking my right hand and sliding up a little bit, almost to the left, releasing the left, and having the hand holding the weapon underneath. That's position 4. Position 5 is flipping the butt of the weapon towards the front, gripping it with the left, completing the circular motion, re-gripping with the right, and bringing it right here to my waist. Now I'll show you from the side. So this is the beginning position. I slide down. Here's 1, 2, 3, slide up, 4, swing it, into 5. And that's your 5 basic stances. Now today we're going to concentrate primarily on the two-handed stance, or position number 5. So from position number 5, footwork is pretty much going to be the same. Move the closest leg the direction that you're going. Right now we're going to talk about basic thrusting. And basic thrusting from this position is just extending both arms out and pulling them back. Extending both arms out, pulling them back. One more time. Extending them out and pulling it back. Okay, that's your basic thrust. Now we're going to talk about faking high and going low, and faking low and going high with the thrust. So from my position, to deliver a thrust, I may have to draw or to fake my opponent. So now I'm going to fake him a little bit. I'm going to act like I'm going high, fake high, and thrust low. Or fake low and then thrust high. So from a side view, I'm going to fake high and thrust low, or fake low and thrust high. So if Rick got into frame here and he was facing me with his lance, I may try to get a reaction, right? Just to come in and do a straight thrust. This guy may be an experienced warrior. It's going to be really hard for me to do, so again, I need to set him up for it. So I may fake high to get a reaction, and then deliver my attack low, or fake low and get a reaction, and of course go high. Of course, I can hit the hand or anywhere in the body, depends on the length of my weapon and the length of his weapon. Okay, and that's faking. Now we're going to talk about moving the lance, just like before we moved the knife. In our full circle and our half circle movements, we're going to do the same thing with the lance. So I'm going to be holding my lance in this position, and I'm going to be moving it in a full circle. Since I have my left side in front, we're going to do left-handed forehand. That's going to be the first movement. There's my full circle or full moon technique. The reverse is going to be the backhanded full circle technique. And of course, I have my half circle or canyon technique moving this way. Again, you're not going to go from a palm up to palm down orientation. It's more going to be more U-shape, more canyon shape here when you're moving your lance in this manner. Okay, now we're going to talk about thrusting from the full circle technique. So from my two-handed stance, I'm going to be moving my weapon in a full circle movement, and I'm going to deliver my thrust out. That's a forehand, right? Delivering it out. One more time. Out. Now, of course, I can do the same thing backhanded. Move it from a full circle, deliver the thrust, deliver the thrust, and deliver the thrust. And that is thrusting from the full circle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about downward wind. And we're going to talk about delivering a downward wind attack. I'm going to bring Rick in on this one. He's going to get into a fighting position. And you know our downward wind, was that downward cutting of the hand. So the same way, I could be on the outside of his weapon, and maybe just like before, he's advancing, I scoot out on a 45, and I cut down on the hand, right? So that is one way to apply your downward wind, is chopping to the hand here. Now, of course, I could be on the inside line too. I could move off line and attack with downward wind in this manner. And that is how we apply our downward wind with our lance. Now we're going to talk about upward wind. Same way, he's going to be in a fighting position. And same way, I scoot it off on a 45, and I bring my lance up and I attack upward, or cutting upward against his hand. Okay? And that's on the outside of his body. And of course, I could do the same thing on the inside, scoot off or move off, whatever the case may be, and attacking upward wind on the inside, attacking the hand. And that's upward wind. Now we're going to talk about lightning cuts. And I'm going to have Rick just put his lance down for now. And we're going to look at lightning cuts. He's going to get in a fighting position just standing here. And we're going to talk about lightning cuts being done on 3 hides: to the head, to the body, and to the legs. So as I do a four-handed motion, I'm going to bring my hand up, and I'm going to kind of make a push-pull movement and cutting across horizontally. So there's to the head. This could be to the body, or possibly to the knee. And the reverse motion is going to be swinging it out and cutting back. Now it's going to go opposite. Before the right hand pushed, the left hand pulled. We're going to switch it, and I cut back and through. And out, kidneys, or back of the knee. Okay, and that is how to make your lightning cuts. Now we're going to talk about the thrusting buffalo series. Just like with the knife, we need to set up. We're trying to put the thrust in, so we're going to be using fakes to help us to have that happen. So he's going to get on guard in fighting position. I'm going to be in a fighting position. I'm going to be using my full circle forehanded and my full circle backhanded as a launching pad for my thrusting buffalo series here. So from this full circle technique, I'm going to deliver a thrust to the inside. As he goes to parry and I disengage, I can attack his hand or his head. So one more time, we're moving here. I go to thrust, I fake, disengage, and I thrust. From the backhanded, I'm doing a backhanded full circle. I go to fake to the outside. As I get a reaction, I disengage and I attack to the inside line. So one more time for my backhanded motion, I go to fake, disengage, and go for my thrust. Okay, and that is attacking, our faking to set up for the attack. Now we're going to talk about the wind technique. And we're going to look at, same way, faking, cutting the hand, and then putting the thrust in. So from this position, I'm making a four-handed motion. I fake the thrust, disengage, attack the hand, and then deliver the thrust. From my backhanded motion, fake the thrust, deliver the wind, and deliver the final thrust. So one more time. From here, I go to fake and attack. From backhanded, I fake and attack. And that is using our downward wind with the thrusting buffalo. Now we're going to talk about lightning cuts. And this is going to be done pretty much only from a four-handed position right now. So I'm going to do my four-handed full moon technique. And what's going to happen is I'm going to fake. He lifts his weapon up. I step to the side and I lightning cut across the body. All right, one more time. We're here. I go to fake. I step. I lightning cut across the body. Okay, depending again on the length of our weapons, I may have to move in closer. If I have a longer weapon, I may just move laterally. I got to move in a little bit on this particular case. So again, I fake, draw the reaction, step, cut. And then of course, I want to deliver the second horn or the second thrust into my opponent. Okay, and that is using your lightning cuts. Now we're going to talk about using our sun technique with the lance. And again, this is another movement that's only going to be done four-handed right now. So for my four-handed full circle technique, I fake on the inside, disengage, palm up, and cut across the eyes. So one more time, we're moving here. I go to fake, disengage, cut across the eyes. One more time, I go to fake, disengage, cut across the eye, and deliver the second thrust in to my opponent. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about reverse strike. And reverse strike is done with the rear part of the weapon. Either he's going to advance and I'm just going to extend it, or I'm going to step for it. So I'll give you two examples here. From this position, I either just extend it out or step in for the hit. Okay, so as an example, one possibility wise that you could use this, if we're here and Rick advances, I clear this out of the line of attack and I step forward and strike Rick. As he goes down, that's going to lead into our overhead strike. Our overhead strike now, from this position, it's rather awkward to thrust an opponent on the ground. So what I would do, and what we would do, is we're going to switch it to position number 3, which is taking our hands from here. After I struck him, I bring my hand up overhead, and I deliver the final fatal blow. All right, so one more time, and that leads us into that overhead strike. So as he advances, I clear it, bang, hit him overhead, and thrust my downed opponent. Okay, we're going to talk about tomahawk and knife right now, and I'm going to show the basic movement, and then I'll bring Rick in. So basic movement, we're going to have our hawk in our right hand, and our knife and reverse grip in our left. Right now, we're just going to keep feet in a nice natural position, shoulders width apart. Of course, in the movement, you could advance the left, you could advance the right as needed. Right now, this is going to be our launching pad. I'm going to give 2 chops and 2 cuts. So downward diagonal forehand, downward diagonal backhand, horizontal forehand, horizontal backhand. So we call this chop, chop, cut, cut. One more time, chop, chop, cut, cut. All right, I'm going to bring Rick in. Now the obvious would be just an attack.